Today we're going to do an unboxing. I've already opened this just to remove any billing information and to remove the address label. So we're going to take a first look at these knives. These are a bunch of cheap knives from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. These are all Rough Riders. And we're going to see what we get. Because, a lot of times these don't come perfect. I've been looking for inexpensive knives that have something special. Like there's a bunch here from the Wasp series. What's special about these is their VG10 blades. So let's take a look. All right, which way is the magnet open? Okay, and this one is a Barlow in VG10. Let's take a look at the blade centering. You can see this blade is off. It's over to that side. It's rubbing. And the main blade looks like it's bent. I don't know if you can see that, but the tip here is bent that way. Okay, so I'm going to just take this. It's hard to do on camera. Give it a little tweak. Doesn't really take much on these stainless steel blades. And already I can see that straight. And it's sitting pretty well centered. Now let's take a look at the other blade. Okay, I can see the blade is over that way. And when I open it up, I can see the whole blade is canted this way on the knife. Go just a little bit more. If I had to apply more pressure than what I'm doing here, I would put this knife in the vise. Okay, that's moved it over a little bit. Let me see how the knife looks when it's open. The blade looks pretty good when it's open, so I'm going to stop there and call it good. So, first knife we opened, a little Barlow in the Wasp series in VG10. Both blades had some issues, but it was that quick to resolve it. And now this will be a pretty decent knife. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is from the Heavy Forge series. These are T10 carbon steel. This is a trapper. This one looks pretty nice. Blades are nice and straight. Pretty evenly ground. Little weak going into the half stop, but it snaps open all the way and closed pretty solid. This blade is also straight. And they are very well centered. I find this Heavy Forge series to be built superior to the other models. Whoever puts these together does an excellent job. It's a good thing that one is right, because carbon steel blades can very easily snap if you try and straighten them. You're better off to stick with stainless steel blades. Another knife from the Wasp series. It says RR2261. Blade centering is spot on. The finish looks pretty good. Blade is straight with the body. Same thing for this bay blade. This is kind of like a sow belly trapper. These are really nice knives. This one in particular is really nice. Look how thick the steel is on these. You can tell these weigh more than the standard trapper. That's going to be an excellent knife. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ones that were good at the bottom and the ones that we had to fix at the top. Here's a trapper from the Wasp series. The spay blade is pretty good. The clip point is over to that side. Let's see what this clip blade looks like open. Straight, so I'm not going to mess with it. The walk and talk is pretty good. This one's a little lazy going into the half stop, but these may improve after they're oiled. So the clip point may be over to that side, but it's not rubbing. So this isn't bad. This again will be a pretty good carry knife. I don't see gaps in the back springs. So I'm going to put that on the pass side. Okay, here's a canoe. And I can see the main blade is over to that side. Secondary blade is over that way a little bit. When the knife is open, the secondary blade is straight. So I'm not going to mess with it. And the primary blade is a little that way, and when it's closed it's a little that way, so we can tweak this one just a hair. Actually almost looks like the very tip of the blade might be bent just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. That's why it's off to the one side, so let's just go where it's off and bend it over a little bit. That looks much better. Let's see what happens when we close it. It's a little bit better. The blades aren't actually rubbing. And this looks fairly straight with the knife now. So I'm going to call that one good, but we fixed it. So I'm going to put it up here. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This blade is centered nicely. This one here is over that way a little bit. Let's see what it looks like when we open them. I can see this one looks like it's bent a little. So let's straighten it out. Okay, that looks nice and straight now. It's still over to that side when I close it. And the whole blade looks like it's going this way just a little bit. So let's come back here and make a little adjustment. I may have to put this one in the vise. I don't think I want to do too much more to this one because it's over to that side. But when I open it up, the blade is slightly that way. So in order to fix this, I'd have to bend the blade more that way, which when it's open is going to compound the problem of this blade being too far that way. So I'm going to leave this one alone now. Just did the little tweak to straighten the blade on the blade tip, and we're just going to call that good enough. So this one is kind of so-so because this one does rub a little bit on that side. So far we're batting 50-50 with these knives. Here's another heavy forge. Even though we're batting 50-50 with these knives, these two are perfectly usable. This one is rubbing a little bit, but it's still a good usable knife. But this one definitely still has a problem. These two are fixed, and these are good to go. Now this is a heavy forged Stockman. 3 springs. Blade looks good. Let's try the sheep's foot. And that looks good. Little weak going in the half stop, but all these need to be cleaned up and oiled still. Springs are good and stiff. That blade looks good. Weak going into the half stop is stiff as the spring is. Nice snap on the close. This is a nice knife. Like I said, these heavy forged knives are put together really well. That's T10 carbon steel. Which those knives come oiled, as you could just see my hands were slipping off the box. Gets slippery. It's another one in the Wasp series. This is a small liner lock, single bladed knife. So this would be competition with the Sodbuster, but it's just a little bit smaller than the Sodbuster Junior. Nice knife. Blade is straight with the handle. Nice snap on the close. Let's check the blade centering. Blade centering is not bad. Ever so slightly off of center that way, but that's pretty good. That's a nice little knife. I'm trying to see if this is a gap here, in here, or if it's just one of the surfaces raised a little over the other surface. I think it's just a tiny hairline gap. I'm not worried about that. This is a good knife. Action is good. Blade straight, nice and centered. That goes down on the pass side. Okay, next. I can see the main blade here is that way. Looks like the tip might be bent a little bit. And the other blade is pretty good. Let's see what we have here. I think this one was described as a small moose. Looking there, it doesn't look like the tip is really... here's the issue, part of the issue with this knife. Can you see how badly this is ground on the springs? It's angled like that. It's ground way too much off of this side. I don't know how much the camera picks that up. So while this knife is fine, it can be used the way it is, this knife goes on the fail side. So we have two knives that are actually true fails. Two knives that we fixed and are really good. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knives that get a pass right out of the box. Okay, last one. Copper. So I believe these are it's a black bone cover with copper bolsters and a blacked out blade. These are in 440A. Okay, the clip point looks pretty good. The spade blade is all the way over on that side. Let's see what they look like out of the knife. The clip point blade runs straight with the knife. The spade blade is canted over that way. Well, this one's kind of odd. The blade is canted this way. So the blade needs to be moved to the right hand side in order to fix it. But when I close it, it's rubbing on the right hand side. So to try and do anything to this blade is going to mess it up. So this is one that you just leave as is. There is a slight bend right here in this blade. I will fix that. Now if you can see, this tip is bent this way. So if you can see, that looks pretty straight now. Trying to get it, because sometimes the lens on the camera, if you have the knife held wrong, it distorts it. But that is straight now. So I think that's as much as we're going to be able to do to this knife. It's not bad. It is rubbing, but it's rubbing very soft. It's just barely touching over on that side. And the nail nick is on this side, so when you go to open it, you're pushing it away from rubbing. So, you know, not too bad. That's fixed. I'm perfectly happy with that. I'm going to put this on the fail side, but in the pile that we fixed. So, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. And zoom in a little bit. So this is our results. This is the side that gets a pass. This side will get a pass, but we had to do a small fix. And these have a problem, but they are still usable knives. They would make good work knives. So when you open up a box of Rough Ryders, this is the percentages that you can expect. This is about what I have found about the knives you're going to get that's good versus the knives that are bad, and with just small tweaks, the ones that you can make good. In future videos, I'll be going over these knives in more detail and doing some hardness testing using files, and we'll get a little closer look and we'll see how these perform. VG10 is a really good steel, and from what I've seen, I'm pretty sure that Rough Ryder has heat treated it nice and hard. So these should perform very well. VG10 is going to be better than the other stainless steels by a long shot. It's going to be far better than anything in 420 or any of the 440 series steels. It's going to be a lot better than Case's True Sharp. So in these inexpensive Rough Riders, or any of these inexpensive stainless steel traditional knives, I think VG10 is an ideal choice of steel. So we'll see you in some future videos when I break some of these knives down and do some individual testing. We'll see you on the next one.